President Biden's decision to stand down from the presidential race is sending shockwaves across the country. This momentous announcement has pushed the 2024 presidential election into uncharted territory. It's the first time in more than a half a century that a sitting president has decided to not seek a second term. Former President Lyndon Johnson was the last president to do this during the turbulent year of 1968. CBS's Nancy Cortez joins us to give us some perspective on this memorable day in Washington. And Nancy, what can you tell us about what we have learned about how the president came to this historic decision?
Well, it all happened this weekend, Norah. He was at his home in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, recovering from COVID, with just a few members of his inner circle around him, including his deputy chief of staff, Annie Tomasini, and two of his longtime senior advisors, Steve Ricchetti and Mike Donnellan. We're told that Biden began to come to this decision last night. Then he spoke to the vice president several times today. He informed his chief of staff, Jeff Zients, and his campaign chair, Jen O'Malley Dillon. And then at 1:45 this afternoon, he held a conference call to inform the rest of his senior advisors. Just a minute or two after that, his announcement went out to the American public. And then half an hour later, he announced his endorsement of his vice president, Kamala Harris. So all of this was carefully choreographed, Norah, to ensure an orderly transition of support from him to her. And it appears that most Democrats have followed his lead.
And Nancy, what are we hearing about the vice president? How does she plan to secure this nomination? And how is she planning to respond to what are already these incoming attacks from Donald Trump?
She's going to have to move quickly. We're told she spent this afternoon here in D.C. calling around to various Democratic members of Congress to ensure their support. And what we've seen already is that many of the members who were calling on President Biden to step aside have already thrown their support behind her. So barring some major unforeseen circumstance, it appears very unlikely at this point that she's going to face any kind of serious challenge from a mainstream Democrat. And instead, she's mostly got to look ahead to the general election. She was expected to campaign in the Midwest this week and in Indianapolis. It's unclear if all of that is now going to have to change. Obviously, everything involving this campaign is going to change. There were meetings taking place at every level of the campaign, at the Democratic National Committee, all day today as they reorient this campaign around the vice president.
Nancy Cortez at the White House with that new information. Thank you.